Bob and B. Burtbach here, and welcome back to another episode of Race the Ramen, the show where I attempt to review something unscripted in the amount of time it takes to boil an instant ramen. And today, we'll be taking a look at Kraven the Hunter, showing now in theaters. Alright, we're going to start the timer right now. Okay, so Kraven the Hunter. We finally made it here. After, I guess, 2 years or a little more so of this silly nonsense that has been the Spider-Man Sony villain spin-off cinematic universe. We finally made it to the end, because after only 3 movies, it seems like this experiment on the behalf of the studio has come to a close. Literally like 2 or 3 days before Kraven released in theaters, Sony made the announcement that these movies were done. And in case you don't have full context, this movie, Kraven the Hunter, is a, quote-unquote, Spider-Man spin-off about a Spider-Man villain, Kraven the Hunter, his origin story, and, it's just a little tale about how Kraven got hunting. And, this is just such a strange movie. Like, not even really in how it is as a movie, but just, like, the space it occupies in culture, because not only, 2 days, seriously, before it came out, were we basically assured, don't worry, none of this matters, and no more of this will ever come. But, even if that didn't happen, this movie was kind of doomed anyway, because I feel like everyone who's been keeping up on these, Spider-Man spin-off movies has kind of come to the same conclusion of there's no way this could ever reasonably integrate into any modern Spider-Man canon, no matter what they did. As someone who's seen all 3 of these movies, someone who's seen Morbius, Madam Web, and now Kraven the Hunter, and has now done a review of all 3 of them, I'm in the weird position to be able to say I kind of enjoyed Kraven the Hunter, and I'd say it's the best of these 3 movies by a long shot. But it's still not very good, and the main reason for that is that it's still fucking tied to Spider-Man. These movies, for all the bad things about them and good things about them, most of these aspects have nothing to do with the fact they're connected to Spider-Man. But there's still a lot. You can't enjoy any of these movies in isolation. And that's what I was trying to do with Kraven the Hunter, knowing that this stupid experiment of making villain spin-offs was over. Them learning they could not replicate the success of Venom. But I was like, okay, this seems a little more straightforward than a bloodless vampire movie starring someone hateable like Jared Leto, or a bizarre whatever the hell it was supposed to be that Madam Web was, starring a very sarcastic Dakota Johnson. So, I don't know. Aaron Taylor Johnson in this is, not amazing, but as far as playing, a buff guy running around fighting people goes, he does the job. Competent action actor. And he does okay in the scenes where he needs to try and be dramatic and actually care about the character. I got kind of invested in this story. Again, not to any serious extent, but, I could see a lot of the problems happening in front of me. Some of the editing was weird, some of the dialogue was cheesy, and considering this movie's been delayed for an entire year or so, I could kind of tell they were probably giving it more time in the oven so it didn't turn out a disaster like the other 2. And it didn't really. But it's still a half-baked mess, and it doesn't seem like most people care about it, and the people who have seen it don't seem to like it. So, I just don't know what this whole experiment was for. But on its own, it is a perfectly middle-of-the-road, almost painfully average action movie with some decent enough character drama and kind of alright action scenes. Some little jokes I chuckled at. I didn't find this to be really a painful experience in the same way that Morbius and Madam Web were. And the fact that it's R-rated gave it a little bit more of a visceral feeling. There was a lot of blood. which my girlfriend did not like. By the way, I should have done more research. Probably should have known before going in. But first time I went in to see the movie, I actually left 40 minutes in because my girlfriend was not enjoying herself because of all the violence. And, I don't blame her for that. I should have known how much blood there would be in this movie about hunting. But I went back and finished it on my own, and for the most part, I was enjoying myself. Right up until the fucking ending, where they just, I don't know, decide to pull a twist to set up future movies, which they already know they're not going to get, which ruined this okay movie and made it bad again. I hate Sony. Hopefully that gives you a decent impression of what I think of the movie. I feel like I've talked about this one the least in having reviewed Morbius and Madame Web. I feel like I just kind of rambled about this movie's greater place in this experiment of villain movies, but that's kind of its biggest legacy. Like, regardless of how good it is or not, this universe is over. And even if it wasn't, like, not going to specific spoiler territory, but the last 5 minutes or so, they cram in like a bunch of extra comic book stuff in a way that like actively ruins one of the parts of the movie I enjoyed. Where just like there's a major character heel turn for what feels like no reason, and it genuinely brought the whole experience down for me. I would have been willing to possibly recommend this movie as just okay. Not great, not awful, not so bad it's good, just fine. A step in the right direction. A few big steps, really. I thought this was much more watchable and in general, like, unironically enjoyable than Morbius and Madame Web. But again, still not amazing. And I can't really get that invested in this character knowing I'm never going to see him again. None of this crap is ever going to matter. And all these weird, like, additional character introductions of people who are presumably from the comic is a little neat, but not to the point that it, like, fucks with the story of the movie by itself. You could have just left this one alone. You delayed it an entire year to get it this way, apparently. I feel like they announced this one before Madame Web was announced. But just, no. Another disappointment. Another stupid waste of over $100 million, potential, time, talent, and ideas. I'm sad to say, but all three of these movies have come and gone, and they've all stunk. This one stinks the least. If you're interested, go ahead and check it out, but there are so many better things you could be watching. For real. I give Kraven the Hunter a 4 out of 10. Again, marked improvement over both Morbius and Madame Web in nearly every respect. But it's still a mostly mediocre movie. Watchable, mind you. But, I don't know. In many ways frustrating, and like what fun you can glean from it, at least for me, was seriously dampened by the ending and knowing that none of this matters anyway. So, I don't know. Watch any number of things. I feel like for both the Morbius and Madame Web videos, I recommended better movies you could watch than this. At the very least, I did it for Morbius and Joker. I think it was Joker I did that for. But, I don't feel like I have to tell you guys this time not to see Kraven, because no one is seeing it. With Morbius, people got curious. With Madame Web, people wanted to laugh because they heard it was bad. This, people are going to forget this in probably less than a month. Again, it's not total dog shit. It's the best of these three. But being the best of a mediocre bunch still makes you mediocre. And, like, all people are going to remember from this whole experience in like a year is how much we laughed at these dumbass ideas. Just see something else. Go see that Lord of the Rings anime movie. Critics aren't being too nice to it, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. Warner Brothers isn't advertising it. That's not shocking. Wait a little while and go see Sonic 3 or Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. I am pumped for that. Watch any number of better movies that are on demand right now. I saw The TV Glow or Problemista, just anything. If you want to watch this, go ahead. But I can tell you right now, no one I know was craving this. And I know for a fact that after that shitty ending, I'm not craving this munter.